So we have seen some samples of voices from the field. The TV team is collecting more voices. They have been very much supported and guided also by the WOTR program, by the Development Alternatives program in Weigel, and their work will continue. We'll hope to get really a compilation of views from various contexts. It's a great pleasure and honor to participate in this workshop. I know that you all have a tremendous experience and knowledge in this area. And as Christina already had mentioned, we will work a little bit different. We felt we should once have a conference which is much smaller, less number of people, but relevant people, very knowledgeable people with experience, and turn it around, starting listening first to a few voices. Of course, they are not representative in some examples, some voices, how they perceive their context, how they perceive the changes in the context, what they think about the existing responses to the change, and their ideas or practical experience in in developing responses to a changing context. So it's very much, and this is part of a much larger process and program we have embarked on, and I can afterwards show a little bit the rough outline of this process. Maybe I would just go there. Very roughly to explain the process. There is the grassroots level and there is the policy level, policy and research and so on. And there is a different dimension is that on one hand we have the field level, field testing, communities, speed farmers communities, business communities, and we have a very important aspect of upscaling, mainstreaming of activities, knowledge, resources, capacities, networks. We have a dimension of policies and regulations. We have the level of the state and the national level, and we have an international level with regard to policies, but also to knowledge sharing at the global level, the multilateral level, but also within the region of Asia. A lot of importance also of an increasing knowledge sharing south-south between Asia, Africa, South America. And so the idea of this process is to start really with listening to the grassroots, on one hand to the farmers themselves, to small entrepreneurs, but listening also to the intermediaries, those who work with the grassroots. And this event, there is a lot of other events we try to include, like this workshop in Weigel. Some of you have been in April in this workshop organized and hosted by Development Alternatives in Weigel. So there are many such events feeding into this process. And now we are on this workshop on practical lessons and views from the grassroots level. The conclusions of this process will flow into a working paper which we would like to circulate, and the UN Solution Exchange platform has already agreed to circulate the paper very widely all over the country so that we get feedback, inputs from all over the country, and that will be all integrated. And there will be an event in November which will be held in two parts as a conscious decision to have the 2 days large gathering in Chennai with the main discussion about what are the main lessons, the main views, and that should go into a draft action plan, and there will be a high-level national policy event on the 12th of November in Delhi. The idea is also a little bit to get away from the very Delhi-centric policy events where you are somehow dealing from the rest of the country. So this is hopefully will be like a bracket. And from here, of course, it will flow into Cancun, the international discussion. We have to see how it will. There will be international knowledge sharing, the Daily Sustainable Development Summit, and so on. That still has to be designed because there are still many uncertainties. What would be the best way that others can benefit from this process? So the fact that we are here in Pune and this event is hosted by WOTR, it's really also symbolic because the WOTR program was one of the leading pioneers in putting the grassroots communities at the center of their work a long time ago already. And so I think we are in the right place here to start with this approach, with this workshop. And so overall in this workshop we will start with looking at the changes, and again changes in the context, and we will listening to the farmers, how do they perceive the changes, and then we'll listen to you, to the audience, to panelists, what is your perception of the changes. And I'm sure there will be many areas where we feel, okay, there's a common ground, we have the same perception, be it from the farmer's perspective or be it from the science, from the policies. But there might be also several areas we will discover where there are totally different perceptions at the policy and science level and the farmer's level. It will be interesting to look into that, and maybe we can draw some lessons there. And the central part, I would say, is looking at the responses to the change, to the changing temperature, to the changing rainfall patterns and all the changes, challenges for the farmer. And there again, looking from the two perspectives. And mainstreaming I have mentioned, and upscaling, that will be very central to see how is it perceived at the grassroots level, these programs to upscale and to mainstream. And I think there it's important to be aware that there is a huge need for a speed in upscaling. We have a lot of nice small-scale experiences in new approaches to deal with climate change, but the time is very short. And it's a bit misleading that now we have nice weather, we have probably a reasonably good monsoon. Maybe next year there's big drought and there's a lot of people starving. So we are under tremendous pressure to upscale very rapidly. And it's very good to have important players like NABARD who can play a crucial role in really large-scale action and providing the necessary resources for that. And all of you with your knowledge, that knowledge is extremely important for upscaling to find the right solutions. So the next step, as I showed, it will flow into further discussions, and I very much look forward to listen to you and to see what conclusions we will derive until tomorrow at noon. Thank you.